Welcome back to FIFA 19. The journey so far.
Ooh.
Lovely.
Danny's stupid brother just couldn't leave him alone, interrupting the special training on the same path they used to play on in their youth.
He kind of looks like Sid from Toy Story.
However, Danny once again beat his brother in a header challenge, giving him the mental advantage going into their match.
And he grew a mullet.
Yet ever the bigger brother, Terry deliberately bumped into Danny in a pathetic attempt to provoke him, broken up by Neymar of all people. In a triumph of karma over bullying, Cardiff beat PSG, giving them the advantage in the semi-final.
But of course, we all know his brother's got to return to be the final boss for Danny
With
eventually.
Real Madrid after completely humiliating Manchester City over 2 legs. Typical other side of Alex in it, really.
So, what music was that?
It was the opening cutscene music in the first Spyro GBA game.
Oh, cool. I think it's called Season of Fire or something.
Like a Season of Ice.
I recall
Yeah,
the Spyro GBA games being relatively fine.
From what I've seen, they're okay.
And
I always
then
wanted to try
there's-
them, but I couldn't.
And then there's Spyro Orange.
Ugh.
So, tell me, Dwibs, I've played both games, but what would you say is the reason that the general consensus is that
Oh,
Crash
Force Your
Purple
Way.
is... Oh.
Basically the boss theme from FF8, if you forgot.
Yeah, I know. Neat.
Watch our Final Fantasy VIII playthrough.
Oh, yeah, to be honest, when we make this public, that will be over, so...
Anyway, but, yeah, so Dwibs,
Yeah?
what's your 2 cents in the general consensus that Crash Purple is a better game than Spyro Orange?
I don't know. I haven't played either of them.
Really? I'm surprised.
Well, I mean, I wasn't into platformers that much at the time.
I mean, you're such a big Crash and Spyro fan, I'm surprised you haven't played the crossover. Like, good or not, like, that's usually, like, something big, especially since that is technically the debut of good old Nina Cortex, a fan favorite.
Well, again, you know, I wasn't much into platformers. I mean, I did Bros a lot during 2004. But other than that, platformers just weren't really the forefront of my mind at that point.
Which is funny.
I remember... Oh, sorry, go on.
Which is funny. Aren't you and Shiroi doing those games for the channel?
Yes.
Spyro Orange
and
and
Crash Purple.
Again, if I can get my hands on a GBA cartridge of whichever one I'm doing, and a GBA player.
I don't even know if I still have my copy.
Did you
Can't play it on that thing anyway.
Did you have both games, Shiroi?
No, I only had one and it was shit. Anyway.
Well, okay, that could apply to either one, but was it the worst of the two? Which, from again,
I had the Spyro one because that was
Yeah,
my
the
preferred.
Spyro that seem to be considered the worst of the bunch.
I wonder why.
Not good. It's not good.
Okay. I think I have an idea why the Spyro Orange one is considered the worst of the two, in the sense where, when you get down to it, ironically, that one does an even worse job at being a crossover than Crash does, and at least with Crash Purple, you can say that, oh, they got the typical Crash controls here, whereas with Spyro Orange, they neutered Spyro's controls.
Well, I mean, Vicarious Vision's expertise at that point was Crash, not Spyro.
I guess it showed.
Actually, that's a question. Who was the developer instead of the 2 Spyro games on GBA before the crossover?
Let me check. Spyro Season of Ice. And I'm assuming the sequel. It was developed by Digital Eclipse.
Where have I heard that name before?
They've been responsible for a lot of ports, some of them not as great as others.
The Spyro GBA games were their excursions into making games of their own.
Hey, speaking of Nina, hey Shiroi, Nina sure went through quite a personality change from like Crash Purple and Spyro Orange all the way to Twinsanity and later the Crash of the Titans.
Yeah, just a bit.
Like, let's see, goes from being a playful little tyke who refers to Spyro as a purple doggy. Then in Twinsanity, I guess there's technically her transition. You know, I can't help but wonder if her
she decided not to speak because
I guess Madame Amberly treated her really badly.
Well, okay.
It was a villain school.
Ironically, Tio, it sounds like she relished her time there if Mind Over Mutant is anything to go by. Cause
she just seems to be going through her emo phase, maybe?
I can't say too much about the Radical games since out of all of them, I've only ever played tag team racing.
Well, hey, she's in that game too.
Yeah, but well,
and Coco's not her fan.
Oh boy,
well,
yeah.
Well, that's the thing though, Jova. I swear that game kind of comes off to me as like that weird transitional period between the old style Crash and what Radical would end up doing, because a couple of the characters were in the middle of their transitionary phase into their
oh yeah, Nina was
designs.
Oh yeah, Nina was one of them. Like suddenly the girl who only had like a gasping breath of line, although apparently she was originally supposed to speak more into Insanity before scenes of hers got cut, but whatever, she went from not speaking to suddenly talking up a full storm and definitely being in her gothic emo phase, essentially.
I'll be honest, having heard some of her dialogue in some of the games, watching cutscenes on YouTube, I'd rather she stayed a mute.
Okay. I'll say this. I feel like Crash Team Racing Nitro Field found a good balance between her older character stuff while also giving her speech that works overall. I mean,
I guess we'll have to see how it goes from here. And well, when we inevitably get like I don't know, Crash 5 help.
Crash 5 help the series.
I mean, it's not like the series is in danger or anything at the minute. It's just.
I hope anyway. I mean, again, I wish I could be optimistic, but with Activision, you can always be certain they'll do something.
Card.
Yeah, like seriously, they did Vicarious Visions so dirty after everything.
Okay, Drova. I think that's still BS because instead again on the other side, every single Diablo fan that I talk to is actually very ecstatic of them working on Diablo 2 instead.
Because the last Diablo remaster that was it the last Diablo one?
Yes. Okay, don't remember who was the team that did it, but it wasn't really that great.
Well,
so no, it wasn't. Okay, it wasn't on the same level of Warcraft 3. I can tell you that. But it wasn't still a great conversion, especially because they went for a particular way of adapting the models into actual full 3D models, and it wasn't that great. But instead, it seems that whatever Vicarious Vision is doing with Diablo 3 is much more appreciated.
You raise a point, Tio, but counterpoint as well. Wouldn't a good middle ground have been okay, we'll just give the project to Vicarious Visions without having them fold into Blizzard, because having them fold into Blizzard pretty much means that they can't work on any other stuff that's not affiliated with Blizzard for the moment.
I mean, I'd rather have that instead of multitasking and having a bunch of products that they cannot work 100% full and screwing them up, all of them as a result.
Sure, yeah, but they weren't really at that point. Like the Tony Hawk remake.
But you said yourself, Activision is a wild card. You wouldn't expect them to ask them to do that. Well, both, but Drove agreed. But the point is, honestly, I'd rather. Besides, there's still always time for them to actually backpedal on that decision. So honestly, for the time being, I'm just happy that they're making a good game.
I'm just wondering if we get a. By the way, we're waiting, obviously.
Well, duh.
Well, what a shock.
I'm just wondering how Spyro 4 is going to turn out, because with Crash 4 compared to Wrath of Cortex, Wrath of Cortex was a lot more playing just divisive amongst people, whereas Enter the Dragonfly was just considered flat out bad. So it's not like a new Spyro 4 could be any worse.
Okay, also to draw the inevitable comparison from the more recent Crash 4, it's about time. As far as this main trilogy goes, I don't remember any particular, collectibles being hard to reach in general. Sure, there have been some particular hard challenges, especially in the second and third game. but I don't remember any particular, like, say, sphere from Spyro 2, for example, being in a very out of place platforming reach. So I get the
Well,
idea that even if they augment the number of collectibles like we did, like we bolted it for Crash 4, I get the idea they still might be less of a chore to get all of them
Spyro, from what
eventually.
I can recall, was normally much easier to complete than, say, the
Pretty
likes of
much.
Crash.
Hell, Job, I platinumed the entire trilogy in like a week or something.
Yeah,
I got it. Here we go. Oof.
But, yeah, I do wonder, though. I mean, the news about Spyro 4 has been off and on. Maybe that's due to COVID or whatnot. Although I will say this, though. One thing that is actually legit a shame about Vicarious Visions being folded into Blizzard is like, well, you could say, okay, here's how things would go. Vicarious would handle the Crash stuff. Toys for Bob would handle the Spyro stuff. Then maybe a bit of Beanox here and there. But now I guess everything falls onto Toys for
Yeah,
Bob.
honestly, it's not just that. Pretty much from the moment Nitro Fuel was announced, I got the idea that Activision wasn't planning having a particular consistent team working on a particular consistent game, and instead aside juggling a bunch of them. And remember, Beanox was kind of out of a job with Activision losing the Spider-Man license.
And now Beanox are back to good old Call of Duty trenches.
well,
At least for the time being, we'll see what happens. I like with stuff like Treyarch, I get the idea that they might not be a permanent occupation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Dwibs?
Yes, Dwibs?
Alright, to elaborate on what I was saying earlier about how a potential new Spyro 4 can't be any worse than the last time, there would have to be, even by Activision standards, a huge disaster. There'd have to be massive miscommunication, and in some cases, I mean, I have seen that what happened episode regarding Enter the Dragonfly, and with all the will in the world with regards to the developers of Spyro 4.
Mm-hmm.
Spyro 4's problem wasn't just it was rushed and thus is very buggy. It's like 06. It wasn't designed well.
Okay.
Heck, I played all the way through 06. I never complete Enter the Dragonfly.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
I didn't even get to the end. I just dropped it.
Like, okay, 06 can...
Did you use that glitch to get to the final boss?
Nope.
That's the thing, dudes. 06 can at least be fun to break. When you're breaking stuff in Enter the Dragonfly, it's to make the game more bearable.
Like, pretty much the stage with the bloody space pigs, I dropped the game.
There was a time where I was just giving the game a whirl, and I got stuck on the loading screen.
Oh god, that can happen.
Yeah,
that's the thing I'm the most worried about when I get to recording it. It'll just get stuck on a loading screen, and I'll have to do levels over.
Welcome to the recording curse, son.
Well, I mean, if the game was a buggy mess, is it really a recording curse?
Well, the point of the recording curse, Dwibs, is that usually when you're recording, anything that can go wrong will go wrong.
It's kind of like Murphy's Law in that kind of way, Dwibs. Like he said, the first time I played some games like the Prince of Persia HD Trilogy, I never particularly encountered any particular bug, but the moment I started recording them, oh boy. But
Yeah.
Heck, like, for us, when it comes to the bad games we find new things in the recording case.
I know.
Yeah, one thing that actually interested me in how, regards to Enter the Dragonfly's development was how the music was done.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Well, what happened was, Stuart Copeland was very busy with other stuff, so he had two other guys do most of the tracks, whereas he'd finish them off with typical Spyro-y sounds.
What does it say about this game that the main composer, even he decided to just half-ass it in that sense?
Well, that's the thing, though. For the most part, the songs are actually pretty good.
And that I'm sorry. The final boss pretty much takes any goodwill I have towards that soundtrack.
Oh, that's the thing, though, Joe. I've actually there's a YouTube channel that uploaded songs that were either in progress or whose
we're still supposed to actually get into the final product, I get.
basically songs that were done by the other guys, but they hadn't had the Copeland touch added to it yet.
Okay.
And what happened was, with that particular song, the Ripto Boss theme, they actually had a song made for that already, which
But
used
it
the
wasn't
same,
used.
percussion stuff and that. And for some reason, it wasn't used, and we ended up getting that mess of a track at the end.
Was the original track even worse?
No, it was decent. I wouldn't say it's great, but it's better than whoever the hell that was. The only conclusion I can think of is that Kobe wasn't happy with the track, so he just took bits off that and tried to put a new thing over it, but he only had like 5 minutes.
Yeah. Apparently part of his improvement involved literally slamming his face into the keyboard in several bouts here. And not in a way that...
It's like, help!
And not even a way that fits like with the Pinstripe Potteru boss theme. No, just literally banging it on like he's a cat or something.
Anyway, we have won the match and are in the final. So let's see how the older Williams reacts to it.
Oh god, is he gonna actually attack him out on the field? Uh-oh. The music seems to suggest something serious is about to happen.
Hans is telling that things are ominous.
And then, right as they're about to make up, Terry got assassinated.
Yeah, there's a sniper shot.
Funny story. Look.
This feels so not earned.
Wait.
Actually,
really?
Funny story, guys. There was I think it was the end of Dream Team seasons either 2 or 3, where the main club won the FA Cup. But the very last shot is its captain being assassinated by a sniper rifle.
So that's pretty
I
much...
think it was his captain anyway.
So that's pretty much it between the two of them?
He's like, you beat me over and over, I'm instantly okay with you
I
now.
can answer that question.
What's your accuracy, Dwibs? Your passing is likely wayward.
Anyway, Jova, I can answer that question, Jova. No.
What more could his brother do? He's pretty much out unless he somehow rigs it so that
he's gonna get Ringo, Jova. He's gonna actually catch Ringo on his own and force his money to get back on it.
Give Daddy back his fucking money.
Okay,
all the while smiling ominously towards him.
Don't make me smile at you again.
That smile can crush souls.
Where have we been all season, Edwin Williams?
I know I did the Sephiroth music earlier during that little joke, but honestly, I think his smile is even scarier than.
Alright, time to get back on Alex.
Yeah. And
Alex.
I was contemplating, but then I saw, Kim's on her chapter 4 beginning. So.
Oh yeah, that's right. You already completed it. So that means if you went to her, then that would mean that Danny and Alex's would be just filled up automatically or something.
Yeah, it would simulate the rest, and
that's
weird. And unless in very specific circumstances, we here at SCWRM don't like simulation.
Oh well.
Then again, we played the 13 games. So.
By the way, when you say simulate, you mean that they'll show you like a string of cutscenes with the game automatically making choices.
Pretty much. I get the idea, but that's pretty much what happens.
Either way, that seems like such a weird design philosophy to have.
Speaking of FF7.
Nice.
I guess you realize at this point how manipulative and oppressing the Real Madrid was. Also, what happened to the lighting? Jesus Christ.
Actually, what I did was because it's getting to the really tense parts now, so that's why I put it in.
You made the filter there for reasons?
Still, what happened to the lighting for that training?
That's the reference to the music. It is reason. It's El Clasico time.
Well, that's the thing, because you were talking about the lighting there. What was up with that?
No, I was talking about the music.
Actually, I was talking about the lighting.
No. Tia was talking about the lighting, Dwibs. What was up with that?
I don't know. Well, I can tell you at this point, I was actually recording straight off my PS5.
Okay.
So, see any improvements?
Well, Jova, it's a game from a couple of years ago.
Oh, no, it's still... Actually, did you bother to start recording in 60 FPS?
I mean, that's the thing though. This game's at 30.
Well, the previous two had the matches in 60.
But anyway, here it is. The one of the biggest and most anticipated matches on the entire world footballing calendar. Real Madrid versus Barcelona, El Clasico. The biggest match in La Liga this season.
It's also nice that they had that giant poster of Alex, you know, with done by the fans.
Yeah. Which I hope will. Again, I've played this, so I'm just keeping suspense for you guys.
Gee, I wonder if Alex is gonna win this.
Yeah.
I did. I already told you about the one of the times I tried to watch. I watched an El Clasico match. It was back in like 2009, I believe, and that match turned out to be a complete train wreck. So I won't go into it more, because I've already talked about it, I believe, in these commentaries. But what we will do is again, since this is a very big match, there will be no edits.
Obviously.
So in the meantime, that's where we've been having.
Yes, very nice. But
actually no, it hasn't. Really strong tackle. It's been very great.
But well, actually, we've been having nice weather over here.
Well, it's been
relatively.
A bit all over the place, lots of wind here.
But yeah, regarding Spyro 4, and that's the thing about Spyro, though. I mean, he's definitely still back in the running here, but it does feel like Activision's been more so focusing on Crash lately as opposed to Spyro. And I'm not just talking about, obviously, Crash 4, but also, you know, the Crash mobile game, and they already seem to be hinting at a new Crash game buried within Crash 4 as well, if that's screen on the TV is anything to go by. Yeah, Dwibs?
Crash has been in more ways than one, historically, more consistent than Spyro. I mean,
Crash has been more marketable for the East than...
Yeah, because I think we've already talked about it, but I'll sum it up. Crash was a wild hit in Japan. Spyro, because of how mangled the first two games were over there, weren't.
Yeah. Okay, that's one thing I never got about the companies. It's like, you messed up the porting job for the localization, and you expected it to sell. Like, I don't get companies that, you know, pretty much sabotage a version of a game and then proceed to act shocked that that one doesn't do as well.
Shocked people to face.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I mean, in terms of Crash, say I compare Crash 1's localization to Spyro. I mean, the worst you can say about Crash 1's localization is that Pinstripe's new theme doesn't fit in.
And apparently the Japanese like that anyway, so okay.
That's the thing, though. Remember the reason they gave for wanting some of the tracks changed? Apparently they weren't video gamey enough.
But you know, like I said, at least you could argue that those were changes made probably for the Japanese market. Whereas with Spyro, they legit just made it perform worse. They didn't even make any proper localization changes. Well, okay, they made it so that Spyro is now named Ripto.
Well, okay, it's just because the kanji looks like Ripto.
Yeah, he's not named Ripto. It was the stylized look of the kanji.
I thought they did end up renaming him Ripto all the way or something.
No.
But yeah, okay. But either way, though, I think we can agree that Crash's localization to Japan was handled oodles better than Spyro's is.
Yeah, okay.
I wouldn't mind Spyro being slower, it's just the camera.
Yeah, that is one thing I didn't understand, why they felt the need to put a fixed camera instead.
Again, I can explain that, actually.
Sure.
When they were doing test plays for Japanese kids, they were complaining that they were feeling sick.
Oh, focus groups are always the best.
I mean, look, I get the point of focus groups here and there, but there are some cases where you will get legit a bad group here and there. Now,
remember, Jova, if you haven't watched it, there's a video on Chris Tuckman's channel that talks about development of Alien 3. One of the reasons why we got a very relatively neutered movie in the end. It was a long string of process, but one of which was that at some point there was an idea of a decent cut, but it was butchered because Fox actually had a focus group, I think it was in California, and the 18 years old that they got felt that it was too disturbing for them.
So,
I mean, it's Alien. What did they expect?
wait, hold on. Was it just that one person who said it and that convinced them?
That particular focus group testing, yes. Like, don't get me wrong, focus group testing are also the things that got us the version of Toy Story that we got, the first one, which apparently, according to Pedro, the first draft was really that bad.
Oh yeah, the Black Friday script.
Okay, to be fair, Jova, would you have expected something different by the people who did the adaptation of Brave Little Toaster? Like, that shit is fucking traumatizing.
Like, oh yeah, especially the Worthless song number, but
although it is funny that for the special features they actually got Tom Hanks to voice arsehole Woody.
I mean, why not?
Kudos here and there, but yeah,
like I
and
said,
to be
okay,
fair,
yeah.
our focus group did give us a much better ending to Deep Blue Sea than what we would originally have gotten. Ugh.
Oh yeah, I've heard about that one. Was it because
Let me put it like this:
the main character was so despised by the test audience?
yes,
They wrote and shot a new ending where she gets killed off, but the main actress wasn't there for it, so they had a body done.
not only that, but they also had a character who people actually did like survive. Relatively enough, a black guy. I think he was. I forget who he was played by.
I don't know, but hey, Jova, how about those Deep Blue Sea sequels?
They
One
made
of-
those.
Well, that one of which is very recent, actually.
Oh man.
Yes, Warner Brothers are getting into the obviously lucrative in 2019 in this era, the lucrative market of direct-to-DVD films, a market that hasn't really been popular since Steven
I mean,
Seagal.
they've been doing that with the DC animated movies for a long time. So I guess they are accustomed to it in some fashion.
I've heard they've been kind of slacking on those recently.
Okay, yes and no. That is because also the current, well, not current, but the version of the DC animated universe that we were running with after the Flashpoint movie, they decided to actually end it with the Apocalypse Invasion movie. So the movies that they're doing right now are more of self-contained stories, like apparently the Superman movie recently released, I think last year, with Lobo in it. I still have to see it.
And Wonder Woman Bloodlines was great.
Or the devs. No, I think Wonder Woman Bloodlines is still tied to the DC animated universe.
No.
That was tied to Flashpoint.
No. You can tell because she has her classic costume on, not the new 52.
Okay, Jova. Apparently the continuity is messed up, but appearances get screwed up all the time. But I'll search in the meantime, whatever, on that point.
Let me get back.
But yes, Dwibs.
When we get back to doing direct to DVD animated films, one I want to pick are the Scooby-Doo WWE crossovers.
Oh yeah.
Anyway,
yeah, you were saying, Tio?
there was also the Deathstroke animated movie, which apparently originally was supposed to be a web series, but because of the pandemic, they actually had to condense it all into like a 2-hour movie or something.
And it was good?
From what I heard, it's okay. Nothing too special, but okay. Considering Deathstroke is like one of my most favorite DC characters, I still have to see it, but I'm optimistic, I guess.
From what I've seen, the consensus is like, well, they had a bit of a slump, but they got back on the horse eventually, especially after, they pretty much stopped trying to tie everything to this New 52 version of stuff. I mean, not to say that the New 52 version of stuff made everything bad either. Like, we had some good stuff, like the Aquaman movie of all things.
My shots haven't been hitting the target enough. Have you seen my goal count?
Alright, Waves. The game speaks the truth.
Well, the game's speaking bullshit.
Well, Tia, you know one thing that did come out of those movies?
Watch this. What does Alex score? Yes. Shots not hitting the target often enough.
And he's like, and I took that personally.
Yeah, I am. If the game's lying to me.
So, Tio, have you seen the Death in the Family movie? Or shall I
No,
say...
not yet. Gotta be honest, again, a lot of the recent DC animated movies, I kind of skipped them. Because... yes, I think it was... I think it was the Death in the Family that Jova just mentioned.
Yeah, Death in the Family, where you can essentially choose your own venture.
Spare, yeah, or spare Jason Todd, potentially.
It's sort of a sequel slash prequel slash interquel slash follow-up to the Under the Red Hood movie.
It's more of an experiment. It's more of an experiment more than anything.
I'll admit, it does have some very good writing in it.
The one that I mentioned... Sorry.
Your mileage may vary based off of a sequence of events here, but it is nice that they got back most of the cast for it.
It's like Kevin Conroy for Batman, I guess.
Kevin Conroy wasn't in Under the Red Hood.
Oh, he wasn't?
No.
Oh, that's a shame.
It's interesting because of... Speaking of Kevin Conroy, it's interesting from what I've heard about the version of Batman that he plays in that Crisis on Infinite Earths crossover.
But the two things I also want to take out of the DC animated movies is one. What I also like is how stylized the covers for the cover art for the movies actually became. I forgot which specific artist they hired, but they actually gave a consistent art style to those, and it's pretty good, pretty solid. But also the one that is still in the works, it hasn't been released yet, but I'm still looking forward to it, is Long Halloween, which is another two-parter, kind of like the Death of Superman. I get the idea that they might, actually pull up a good one on that. I still don't really like Catwoman's costume in that story in general, so I hope that it's a bit improved for the animated adaptation, but we'll see.
That reminds me, how was the second try at the Death of Superman thing with that two-parter?
I haven't seen it myself, but from what I've been told, it seems to be better than, the first one.
But yeah, like I said before, the DC animated original movies are arguably some of the best things you can do for an adaptation. Literally adapt a storyline, but adapt it in a way that it can stand alone in and of itself here. Because one thing...
Oh, thank you very much for passing me the ball, mate. Ooh. That player nearly lost his job.
Sucks to be you, I guess.
Yeah, that player nearly lost his job. And he nearly fell over it again.
Poor bastard.
Seriously, Barcelona, you're supposed to be one of the top teams in the world, and yet you nearly lose the ball to a player who, in terms of his footballing career, is barely out of diapers.
Well, to be fair, Dwibs, Alex in these few years has managed to destroy the opposition like multiple times in a row. So
it's because Alex has two things: good shooting boots and the sheer power of will. Like he can have teams beaten because that's so.
I guess, to be fair, I wouldn't call his career out of its diapers. Like, he's been at this for, like... Okay, if we're to assume that each game has gone on for a year or 2 to 3 years at this point, and if he's,
I mean, that is still pretty young for a professional footballer.
True, yeah, but consider his resume and how much he's done in those years or whatnot, like...
Well, let's just hope that... in the stuff that we won't see for Alex's career since this is the last game, I hope it's not a case of him peaking too early.
Oh, boy. Actually, yeah, I mean, where does he go after Real Madrid, I wonder?
Space, like I said, alien invasion, with the aliens and soccer.
He'll be captain of planet Earth. And it'll be called, Docker Jam.
You know, you remind me of the show called Ball Masters.
Although at least in this case, the footballer will be played by an actual actor.
You know, Justin, you remind me of this show from Adult Swim called Ball Masters, which is essentially this apocalyptic setting where a sport turns out to be like the ruler of Earth's way of testing out to see, okay, which of you are the best to protect Earth from this alien invasion, essentially.
Wasn't that also kind of the plot of Lunatics Unleashed?
And Team America, although that was more of a joke.
Yeah.
I don't recall Team America having really sports attached to who they chose to save the world.
Well, no, it's like they picked someone completely out of left field to save the Earth.
Oh, no. The thing about Ball Masters is that there was actually sort of a point to it. It had to do with how the sport was played, per se. To explain it might take a while, but essentially it's one where you score up a few points while also trying to kill your opponents as much as possible. Don't worry, the opponents are fine afterwards.
So it's kind of like Death Race, in a way.
Sort of. The difference is that they'd be rejuvenated by these little organisms that can pretty much repair damages here and there.
Midi-chlorians.
Maybe.
Have I told you guys about a there was once a cartoon based on the Premier League?
Okay, what was it?
That's the thing though, I'm trying to look it up. I can't remember the name.
Speaking
Which
of,
year did it came out?
It was around sometime around the 2010s, I think.
oh, okay. So it isn't that show that's about
Anyway,
Simba's, so it isn't that show about Simba Jr. and Bambi going to play the World Cup.
Thankfully, no, Joe. It doesn't seem to be from the Mondo TV cinematic universe.
Mind you, Tio, that is in the same continuity where Simba avenged the death of his father at the hands of Shere Khan, and then they go to playing soccer
Mind, at least a couple of years ago, they're making an animated show about Manchester City.
And speaking of weird random animated shows, did you know that there was actually a Zorro animated show that started off in 2015?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Yes, Joe, I posted the article today.
Although, as someone who isn't a Man City, I dread to think what that show is going to be about. Is it going to be about Kevin De Bruyne and Gabriel Jesus leading their team to save the world from aliens that are represented, in the case of the cartoon, are represented by their rivals?
Okay, let's see.
Wow, you're very fiery for this season.
Next is the Champions League final. Thoughts on that?
Well, you were watching the game, weren't you? Not a club in the world that can live with this squad. Pure class. You'll see that at the Wonder.
Maybe this is also the reason why the manager were against you. I don't know.
He's learning his Spanish.
That's good. I got the feeling, Tio, that unfortunately that scene with the managers probably would have happened regardless of what
probably. Okay. Especially because your alignment is mentioned. If you're too fiery, you have more fans, but you're not, in tune with your manager.
Again. Like I've said, I do like the journey, but it doesn't go as far as it really could with having your choices matter.
And like I said, the worst thing about this is that we don't really have a frame of reference compared to most other games with multiple choices. There's not too much material on this game to actually confront, different sources and everything.
So, guys, we're in the home stretch, and we're not too far from the end now. So, join us in the next part as we start getting close to the beginning of the end.
See ya.
See ya.